Ric Bucher joins us, Fox Sports NBA insider. Buch, is it me, or do these games have way more energy than they did in the past?
I would say certainly early on, they have way more energy. I mean, just the speed of the game just continues to blow me away. But I do think there is a surge. It might be just from the fact that we've got fans back in the stands and we're fully acclimating to that and people are excited about it. But I'd say that along with it's wide open. You know, everybody's got a shot. So there's a lot of intrigue when it comes to who's going to end up on top and sorting out what the pecking order is in the league right now. But yeah, I every night there are 3-4 games that I'm fascinated to watch and trying to watch them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the Garden, San Antonio last night was on fire for that Laker game. Now, part of that is, LeBron, but LeBron wasn't there. But part of it is it's still the Lakers, and you got Russell Westbrook, who's an old rival. It did feel like last night, without LeBron getting the win, and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, getting that thing done. It did feel like to me, that that's why Russell makes sense. Right? I'm not sure Russell makes sense in the postseason, but in the regular season, that's a guy who can win you games and keep the ship afloat. Whereas you look at all the LeBron teams in the past, Cleveland, Miami, and LA, when he's out, usually it's a disaster.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. That is why they got him. That's what they were hoping to get. And that, quite frankly, after the first 3 games was a major question as to whether they could get it based on how he was playing. But I thought the way that AD stepped up and the way that Russell took good shots. If you look at, he was 15 of 27, shot over 50% overall, and I counted at least 9 or 10 of them. 2/3 of them were at or around the rim. And so not having LeBron there allowed him to play that way. It was kind of a reverse where AD was spacing the floor as much as he was trying to get position in the paint. But even AD, having the knee issue and playing through it and playing the 5 minutes in overtime, it's San Antonio. They're in rebuilding mode. You're beating, and San Antonio missed all 7 of their fourth quarter free throws. I don't know that I've ever seen that. 0 for 7 from the line in the fourth quarter. You could look at the circumstances and you could look at the opponent and say, well, that was still a disappointing performance. I think that was I don't want to go must win, but I think how they won and who won it for them was a huge stepping stone for the Lakers, because all the things that they've said that this season is going to be built on, Russ carrying the water when LeBron's not there or off the floor, AD being, imposing his abilities. Like, we saw all that last night, I would argue for the first time this season, which has to give the Lakers hope that this experiment actually has a chance of working. And Kent Bazemore tweeted it out. He said, that was a big one for morale, and I would agree 1,000%. If they lose that game and they're 1-3, that they'd be in the exact opposite situation. It's funny to look at one game out of 82 and think that it has that much meaning, but I really think this was a meaningful win for the Lakers.
I agree with you. I will point out they got Oklahoma City tonight, then they got Houston. Yep. They got some dubs coming up on their schedule.
They got Oklahoma City. Then they've got Cleveland. They got a homestand with Cleveland, Houston twice, and then Oklahoma City again. So they got a chance to run off a few wins here and suddenly go from a team that was below the waterline to being 6-7-2 and keeping pace with the Jazz and the Warriors.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. What is it about their chemistry or their morale that would, I agree with you on all points, but in order for morale to be down, in order for chemistry to be missed, something is missing. And I know they have some injuries. I get it, right? No Ariza, no Taylor Horton Tucker, no Wayne Ellington. I know he dressed last night, right? So you're missing, that's 3 rotation guys. But there is something about their chemistry that's not working.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Well, I just think it's different. I think what they tried to do is they tried to recreate what they had 2 years ago when they won in the bubble, which is they brought a bunch of guys together who had something to prove. The difference is that they had a group of role players that had something to prove, that wanted a shot at their first championship. Alex Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Dwight Howard coming back. Like, you had a bunch of guys that were willing to follow LeBron's lead and say, oh, like, we're going to second shot at winning a championship? Sign me up for that. You're getting the same thing here, but you're not getting role players. You're getting guys that all want to prove that they can be a fundamental core part or
foundational piece. Right? That's the and you tell me if you've heard the same thing. Like, that's the fear with Carmelo. Like, Carmelo in Portland, he was out of the league, he was humbled, he bought into the role, and he's like, whatever, I'm going to come out and shoot threes and do the best I can on defense. But when he's around LeBron, like, he still kind of wants to be Melo. Roll into the post, like, no.
And Russell wants to be Russell.
Yes.
And LeBron still obviously has to.
And I think LeBron's struggling with too. I think he's smarter than the rest of them in terms of what he does that doesn't expose where he is age-wise, but he's not the same guy. And you know,
the thing that really impresses me with LeBron James is the mid-range jumper that he's developed that is automatic. The problem is that's now arguably his best shot, and that doesn't create anything for anybody else. That doesn't create any spacing. That doesn't draw a double team. And so he's knocking that down with regularity, which is impressive. But who gets easy shots for everybody else? And Russell's pressure in transition can do that, but, I mean, it's still not consistent. He's not a consistent playmaker that makes the game easier for everybody else. You still have to play as much at Russ's tempo and fit yourself around Russ as much as Russ is going to set things up for you.
Ric Bucher joining us, Fox Sports NBA Insider. You check him out all across the TV dial on Fox Sports 1. He joins us in the Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Am I crazy? Or
hey, by the way, Fox Sports app now too.
Fox Sports app now too. Am I crazy? Or is Golden State feels like they're really close? I mean, I don't know what Klay's going to be like when he comes back.
Yeah,
I feel like Golden State's close.
I'm with you. You know, it's funny. I was very skeptical, and I guess to a certain extent, I still am. But I've been really impressed with the level of basketball IQ with which that team is playing, considering how many young guys that they have. Mm-hmm. And I'm not like people thinking that Klay Thompson is going to come back and be Klay Thompson. We've never seen a guy come back and play after an ACL and an Achilles. We've seen one or the other, not both. I still think he can come back and he can be, an impactful player. I don't think he's going to be the same player. But in talking to GMs and people around the league over the last couple of days, they've all unilaterally and without asking have said Warriors could be the best team in the league right now. And which I look at it and I look at the way they're playing and the joy with which they're playing with and the intelligence with which they're playing with and what they're getting from a variety of places and how mixed of a bag the league is right now. And I say, why not? I mean, it's only a couple of weeks in, but I will say this. I think they're playing as well as any team in the league right now. And when you think of potentially getting Wiseman back and you get Klay Thompson back, I did not have them as a title contender this year, but all things, the way things look right now, I may have to revise that thinking.
Where is Philly on trading Ben Simmons?
Nowhere. This is, again, conversations that I'm having. Somebody posited this to me that I think is accurate. Another GM, he said, their best bet right now is to guilt or pressure Ben Simmons into coming back and playing for them again. Because the player that Daryl Morey has set the bar at is not available. The star that comes in and makes them better than Ben Simmons does, that does things that Ben Simmons doesn't, is not available. Damian Lillard is not leaving Portland. Bradley Beal is not leaving Washington. And even if by some miracle, something dramatic happened and one of those two guys said, okay, I'm you know what? I want out. I want out of here. And even if they said, I want to go to Philadelphia, which I can't see either one of them demanding. But even with all of that, if those guys became available, there would be 29 teams lining up. And I dare say one of them, if not multiple, would be able to give a better package than Ben Simmons. Because if you're going to move Damian Lillard, you don't want Ben Simmons. You want what the Rockets got for James Harden. You're hitting the reset button. You're getting assets. You're getting draft picks. And I know Ben Simmons is a young player, but you're getting a young player that's not necessarily on a max contract. Same with Bradley Beal. Like, you wouldn't go and say, okay, you know what? If we put Ben Simmons in for Bradley Beal, we can keep going with what we have. It doesn't make sense. So I just don't see where you can wait till December 15th. You can wait till the trade deadline. I don't know how they get to where Daryl Morey has set the bar, which is to get a player better than Ben Simmons that keeps them on this championship contending road. And so here we are. And I don't see an easy resolution to this other than Ben Simmons finally realizes, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to sit out the entire season. I want to get paid. I don't know how long you can play the mental health card. And I don't say that to diminish mental health. Trust me, I have people in my life. I know how serious that issue is. I'm sorry, but the skeptic in me finds it awfully convenient to present that as the reason that he's not playing, because you can't argue with that. And it allows him to continue to get his paycheck, which is one of the reasons why he ultimately came back. So I don't see an end to this, which puts the Philadelphia 76ers in a quagmire for the foreseeable future.
He's Ric Bucher. Check him out in the Fox Sports app, as well as on across the litany of shows, including Speak for Yourself on Fox Sports 1. Buke, great stuff, dude. Thanks for joining us.
You got it, Doug.